Hey there, it's Chris on my channel. Here I am on vacation in Florida because I'm going to be here for 3 months right now because I'm going to be doing this video since I made the announcement that I haven't done that in a long time. Because the reason why that I am doing this because I left New York back on probably August the 3rd. Yes, I left New York on August the 3rd and I won't be back till October. And I'm going to be doing this video because I'm on vacation. I'm living in this, I'm spending 3 months here at my mom's house that lives in Florida. Yeah, it's very hot weather because of back on Tuesday, thankfully New York City got worse hit since Sandy, which is the Isaias, the Tropical Storm Isaias that caused New Yorkers blacked out, yeah, left in the dark. The whole of probably almost all of New York City has been, yeah, it has no power. This is the first time it happened since 2003, when half of the customers have no power at all. If you go back to, well, was this 1965, the blackout of 1965, and then of course, and then again in 1977. Yes, you know, New York City had the worst blackouts. The first one dates back to 1965. And of course, and then the second blackout happened in 1977, had the worst blackout in New York City. And of course, the nationwide blackout was actually 2003, and that was the last time that the blackout happened in 2003. So, thankfully, I made it in Florida since the storm has passed Isaias. Of course, we took a flight from Kennedy Airport down here. Of course, because the plane is not going to, it's going to pass through Tropical Storm Isaias due to turbulence and the whole thing. I know, yeah, you had to dodge the storm because of Isaias. Yeah, because it would cause a lot of turbulence in there because I'm on JetBlue since the plane was rerouted down there because of the storm, because of the height of the storm. And of course, thankfully, New York City has been, all blacked out. Queens had the worst blackout. Upper Manhattan, the upper end of Manhattan had the worst blackout. And since 2003. Of course, Hudson Valley had the worst the one that I live up there in Hudson Valley, since I've been away in the Hudson Valley for the last few weeks. Thankfully, it had blackouts, so thankfully the Central Hudson has been restored. It's going to be restoring as soon as it happens because I know New Jersey has no power at all because of Isaias. That is probably the worst storm ever since Sandy, and since Superstorm Sandy or Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, lots of flooding and all areas. Yeah, a lot of them. It's hit hard. And then came on that same day was Beirut, Lebanon, is where they had the explosion happen. This is like the worst since the atom bomb in 1945 when it was in World War II. Yeah, thankfully, it was freaked out by. It was caused. The problem was I watched the video on YouTube. There was actually Lebanon, somewhere in the city of Lebanon. It's actually in Beirut, which I'm not follow. I don't follow anything about this news thing, this world news thing. It's about a tragic accident that happened. It was the factory. It blew up the entire area. Kind of reminds me, if you watch the film, if you watch any of the, remember the old civil defense films where it was a lot of propaganda films back in the 50s and 60s where all about civil defense is where they take shelters, like the fallout shelter. It's like how to demonstrate it. This was some sort of propaganda, but the 60s, 50s, and 60s did a lot of these propaganda short films on how to avoid the nuclear attack. But of course it happened, but not that, because Beirut had the worst explosions there, because since it was louder than it was like 2,000, like over 2,000 megatons of TNT, and blew up the whole area. And that was like very loud. It was more powerful than both the atomic bomb and the nuclear bomb blast. That since Hiroshima was destroyed And yes, you know what? Speaking of Hiroshima, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the attack of the Hiroshima, the bombing of Hiroshima. That was in World War II. That brought to a complete halt, and that's where they destroyed 2 bombings. You know, they did one in Hiroshima and the other in Nagasaki. That was the hardest hit bombing. Both of them bombed. That just wiped out the entire area of the city near Hiroshima, and the whole area was full of rubble and everything. It's one of the most horrific weapons of mass destruction. It was the nuclear bomb and the atom bomb, and that's because of the weapons of mass destruction. That's when they happened in Japan. It was towards World War II. And of course, that's about right. I think it's we're watching the news. I don't follow the news this much. I'm just enough with the politics or any world news events. It's been going on. You know, Isaias is the worst hit by a hurricane, and yeah, first it was once a hurricane, but now it's a tropical storm, and that was Tropical Storm Isaias is the worst area to hit New York City. Thankfully, it got saved after, and most of the trees were knocked down. I'm glad they're cleaning up the area because of what happened. So much winds and many tornadoes have hit. But thankfully, I'm here. I'm down in New York City. I'm down in Florida right now because back on Tuesday it happened. Since Tuesday when Isaias got hit. The area that had the worst hit in there, because I left New York right before 2 days, probably the day before the tropical storm hit. You know, that loses all power, and a lot of this stuff is losing power. So, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, we're here to do the video that I'm going to show you just for fun, but not only that, I'm waiting for this thing to arrive today, that I'm going to do another video that I'm going to be working on, and this is what I received. I'm down in Florida. Over the weekend, I just ordered on eBay. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of surprising me enough, because I like to show you a video to demonstrate. It's a cassette player. It's a cassette recorder, but it's not a cassette recorder, but it's something that is really interesting. And this time we're going to be doing this video because I'm going to show you that it is quite interesting for if I'm into tape recorders. I always love cassette recorders, some vintage cassette recorders. And the last video that I did was actually the Audiotronics 148B, which is the classroom cassette player, cassette recorder, what they call as the Cassette, from the 1980s. If you may remember the old Audiotronics Cassette that was made for schools. If you know, schools was a very popular time when cassette recorders were used in classrooms and libraries, and even for industrial use. This was and it was also for institution. And I always loved getting classroom tape recorders somewhere that was become more popular in schools, just for and it even has a underneath there, it has the listening center where you can listen to plug into 4 headphones for so children can listen to all the read-along book and record sets. You can listen to the read-along book and cassettes, like those Disney read-alongs, or even the Disneyland record albums, like the Storyteller, if you record it onto a tape and then play it back, so that the students at kindergarten would play them. That's right, because it was the time when, back in the day, that didn't happen back in the day when kids were listening in the listening center, could hear Disneyland albums, listening to the Disney albums back in the day when you played in school, when you brought in from school to play them, and gives you the stories and gives you the whole facts about it. And this was used for educational skills, and this was some sort of an educational tool. You know, the Storyteller albums was become more popular for read-alongs as well. It became an educational tool. You know, these were actually for use by both home or in schools. So you had to read them, or even at libraries. You know, the ones you get at the library, you have to read with them. It's like some sort of a storyteller on a record, so that the kids or even students would like to play, to read, or even, yeah, you can help read along with them. And of course, for a listener like that, it would be more unusual to play these on a cassette. That's very nice. I still have it up at home because I always want more cassette players on the way, because I want to see if I can think about finding this one, because this is going to happen later today, which I'm going to be showing you in the video later today, eventually, to do a video on one of the most interesting machines that I ever covered. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of an interesting lesson here. So let's stop this for a moment, and we're going to continue on. We're going to go to the next video that I'm going to show you guys. It's a little surprising, so let's stop this video right now, and I'm going to go to the demonstration and see what it is. We'll see what I got today. So anyways, let's stop this video, and we'll come back to see what I got. Presenting the Superscope Storyteller cassette player, and this one's a model TP100. You can see it's written on there. You can see it has writing on it. It came with an original box, as you can see here, and it's made by a company called Superscope Tape Duplicating Products. And it's got the kids are reading a book, and here it is. This is something you've never seen it before, and what's interesting, it says this machine does not record. It has high impact styrene case, single button operation, non-erasable, and it has a sticker on there. It has the original sticker. It says one free Storyteller book and cassette with this model TP100 cassette player. And here's spine, another spine, and here's the top. Yep, same thing. And yep, it's got still has the original styrofoam. It says made in Japan. And here, and voila! How about, look at this. Look how, this is the smallest cassette player you'll ever seen in my entire life. And you can see here's the cassette player. It has this is a one button does all machine unit. It comes with a volume control, a play button, and of course a switch for fast forward. That's it. There's also an earlier model that has only a playback button with no fast forward. There was an earlier version of the similar TP100. And it looks pretty cool. It's got the cassette door, it's got the hubs, and it has the mechanism. It looks pretty cool. And this is a Superscope brand, the same company that made the C101A, which I did in a previous video. And here's the side. It has the earphone and DC 6-volt polarity. This is sort of like when you plug it into the outlet, and you can plug it into 6V. It has an earphone plug. You can also use it as an external speaker. And here's the back of it. And what's inside there yep, it still has 4 batteries. Yep, 4 C-size batteries. I also have one in my Superscope C101A, and yep, these batteries are dead. It came with this unit, but I gotta take the batteries out of the way, so I have to install, maybe I'll put some new batteries in. And it also came with an earpiece, like the one you don't find these in any other unit, and of course, an original instruction manual. It came with this one. It has a warranty on there, and it's got it has all the instructions that came with it. It's wind forward or rewind, and it says press play stop switch. It can be used to rapid start stop and select program, flipping a cassette over to rewind. That's the most disappointed way. Yeah, this thing does not rewind. And it looks pretty cool. I usually enjoy this. This is a company. This is actually Superscope's first. This was the Superscope brand. This was the cassette player that introduced in the early 70s. This is from 1975, and this was part of the Storyteller line, which introduced in 1973, and it was introduced to. And this is a part of a history lesson, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of a history behind this. Superscope introduced the Storyteller line in 1973, and it was part of a history. It was part of a little bit of history. It explains. It features former Disneyland narrators, including Ginny Tyler and Hal Smith, where they brought it in after, Ginny Tyler was the original Disneyland story reader when she went on to do narration for the Superscope Storyteller. And she was doing voice acting for Hanna-Barbera and many other cartoons. And of course, and then Hal Smith was also doing the voice acting as well for the characters in many of the Superscope Storyteller series. Superscope also put out maybe like 30 Storyteller titles in the 30 book and cassette tape sets as part of the Storyteller line between 1973 to 1976. And then it continued into the 80s, but originally was called The Storyteller, and then later became the Superscope Storyteller, and then finally the Superscope Telestory, which I think that came out around that time when they was rebranded over the years as what they called it later on. And then they started put out Tarzan. They took it all the way and they put out a lot of great books and adaptations based on fairy tales and folk tales and Bible stories, and of course Tarzan and Gumby. And this was on Punky Brewster. If you've seen back in the 80s, these were kind of late at the time until they ended production in the 80s. And it continued right into the 80s. If you know, that was one of those things if you have not seen any of them. There are videos on YouTube if you want to see or listen to the Superscope Storyteller stuff. You should go on YouTube and search for it, and if you want to enjoy that as well. There's a bunch of views have uploaded onto YouTube, and there's a very ton of them out there. So if you're interested to check it out, if you want to see it, just check it out. So with that, in addition, it came with 2 cassettes that came with this unit. So it was from a Ziploc bag. No, that's for later. It came with 2 cassettes. Yeah, it's 2 cassette tapes to go with the player. It has 2 of them. I'm holding the camera for just a little bit. It's got Care Bears World Made of Love and, of course, Tales of Peter Rabbit. Yeah, these two I'm not keeping in my collection though, but I don't know. So, without further ado, here's a demonstration of this unit, of this Superscope Storyteller cassette player. It's a portable unit, but first you have to open the cassette door, pop in a cassette in, put a cassette into there, into the slot, and close the lid, and of course, hit play.
Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella
there you go.
And went through the woods to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries.
All right, I had enough of that. So, yeah, we're not going to listen to the rest of it because it's, YouTube is getting nuts with COPPA. And this is because it's a video made for kids, which not really. I think I have to keep it as not for kids level, but this is not this is just not like it's a kid-friendly video, but we're not going to do this. So, here, in addition to that, there is a fast forward switch. You have to hit fast forward. And this one does not rewind. So if you want to turn the tape over for rewind, you have to flip the tape over and rewind. Backward to the very beginning. Yeah, it's a little weak, but it's fast forwarding. It looks pretty cool. Looks interesting. for a cassette player, for this nice looking cassette player made for a kitty. And here it is. If you want to stop, you have to fast forward and then put it back to the very beginning. So anyways, in addition, we've got another one I have here in my stash. Although this is a kitty cassette player, it can also play music. For example, you have to play music like using this. This is a portable, this is a SD card cassette adapter. So it comes with this thing, but it will play MP3 music on them. So once I have to do, I'm just going to put the camera down for a little bit and turn this on. So, all right, let's pop this thing in and see how this thing plays. Wow, looks like you're jamming them songs on them, on that Superscope Storyteller cassette player. Look at this.
Can turn me on, baby. Baby, you can get me now. 'Cause your legs are nice and long, baby. Come on, baby. Let me see what you got. You
It's made in Japan.
sexy. Baby, you are nice and sweet. And you're such a lovely lady. Your body just can't be beat. You can turn me on, baby.
All right, enough of that. So I don't want to play the whole song because of copyright. All right, I just wanted to show this. This is a nice looking oddity for this cassette player. Wow, it's kind of common. It will play music. It can play music on this thing, but it looks pretty cool for a nice looking cassette player from the 70s. If you like this one, I recommend this. This is very rare, difficult to find. This is definitely another one of these rarities, because the reason why for that oddball is it looks pretty cool. It has looks like a red brick. It looks like some sort of a portable. They did a pretty good job on this. This Superscope did pretty well with these nice looking Storyteller cassette player that came with books. It's very nice. I always like to play music while I'm out. Or in the original model, it had that handle on there. Yeah, but this was in earlier models, it had a handle on it. But this one is just pretty nice, so you can hold on to it while you're playing music on the go. Yeah, you can play MP3 music on the go. It can also play Bluetooth as well. I will demonstrate another one using a Bluetooth speaker, a Bluetooth cassette adapter to go in there, so I can play music on there, so we can play something pretty good. So let's stop the video right now, and we'll demonstrate the Bluetooth compatibility with it. So I'll take a break with it, and we'll stop the video, and I'll demonstrate it here. All right, back inside. I'm right in my room right now when I'm visiting on vacation. So not only that, in addition to this thing, now you just played this through an MP3 player, but I'm gonna play this through a Bluetooth receiver. This is a Bluetooth cassette player adapter. It's played right now. So all you gotta do is pop in a Bluetooth adapter in, close the lid, and we'll watch them play. So it will play directly into this iPad. So let's hit the play mode, and we'll let it play. There you go. It plays. It does play very good on this Superscope Storyteller cassette player. One of those kiddie players that you actually play a nice song. Yeah, rather than telling a story or reading fairy tales, you got to play a lot of dance songs on them. So let's throw a few of them in and see how it goes. And those of you who are not familiar with this machine, to get back to a little history lesson about the Superscope Storyteller, I found this on YouTube. They have, see, look at this. It's got the Superscope Storyteller. Yeah, you got all the list of them on YouTube. If you have seen it, go check those out. And yes, it does pretty good if you want to look at this. It's got that, remember those cassette? They did that one too. It says Superscope Tell a Story instead of Superscope Storyteller. And that came after that, and that was, there's Thumbelina that was in there, but yes, it's got Thumbelina, they got Rapunzel, they got everything, and yep, it's got the Samson and Delilah, and these were all Superscope stories, read along, and a whole bunch of everything. Yeah, I know these are a whole bunch of these, they put out a lot of good titles, and during the 1970s, it was putting out a lot of titles around this thing, so I used to have this when I was a child. So I'm going to play a couple of samples here, so let's see how this goes. Let's see if I can demonstrate to see if I can play. And here is how it plays.
The Superscope Storyteller presents Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Once upon a time, there were 3 bears. They all lived in a house of their own, deep in the woods. There was a papa bear, a mama bear, and a wee baby bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge, a little bowl for the baby bear, a medium-sized bowl for the mama bear, and a great big bowl for the papa bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a tiny chair for the baby bear, a middle-sized chair for the mama bear, and a big chair for the papa bear. And since all bears take naps, they each had a bed that was just the right size. Each morning, the mama bear made a big pot of porridge. But since it was always too hot to eat when she finished cooking it, they would pour the porridge into their bowls and then go for a walk in the woods while it cooled.
All right. And it says here, if you look at the opening page, it says here, it says illustrations by Rex R. Irving and Judy Clark, who also did the illustrations for all the Superscope Storyteller titles. And this one's copyright 1975 by Superscope, all rights reserved, and the slogan, "Listen to Us." And it says, with music of the great masters. What the heck is the great masters? Is this some classical piece? Yeah, if you can listen to the opening title, it uses what they call the Barber of Seville. They use portions of the Barber of Seville. You know, you hear a few bars from the classical piece. Yeah, the background music you hear is some sort of, they throw in some little bit of classical piece from Beethoven to Tchaikovsky and Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, and a few other classical composers to go into the story. And you can tell the narration you hear is Ginny Tyler, who's also originally was a Disneyland story reader Yeah, she was also a voice actress in so many cartoon shows over the years. She did for Hanna-Barbera and a few others. And she was, and in addition, she was also narrating a lot of these Disneyland record albums during the 60s until she went over to Superscope to do narration for the album. But I just wanted to give you a little hint.
Each morning, the mama bear made One morning, just after the three bears had left to walk in the woods, a pretty little girl named Goldilocks passed by their house and looked in the window. Because she was a curious little girl, she decided to see if anyone was at home.
Hello? Is anyone here?
Alright, I'm going to stop this stream for now because I'm not going to hear the entire story. This is a very good example. This matched the entire Superscope Storyteller as a kind of like a tool that was designed for children and not just actually play music. You know, I played a few songs earlier when I was using this. It will play a lot of music that is not kid-friendly. So, yeah, you can listen to dance music. You could listen to some rock and roll, R&B, whatever you listen to, rather than listening to this kids stuff like fairy tales or whatever you call that, or folk tales, Bible stories, whatever. So there you go. Another great demonstration of this nice looking, cute looking Superscope Storyteller portable cassette player. Like I said, it does not record, it doesn't rewind. This is a one button does all unit. This is basically a bare bones. I don't know what year was this made. This is from 1975. And yes, this was actually a TP100. It's very nice. It's very interesting, and I always enjoy this video very much. And gives you a little bit of some sort of, because of its historical purpose or because of its oddity. Because this is what I always wanted to look into this thing. I haven't owned this before because this is my first time. I haven't tried this one because this is definitely a good one. If you enjoyed this, I highly recommend getting this one. These are definitely difficult to find. There's not easy to find. There could be many of these were made. If you buy there was a bunch, except for a few on eBay, they have a bunch of Superscope Storyteller book and cassette releases from the 70s. If you enjoyed those, yeah, go check it out. Or if you want, buy them. If you want to get one without cassettes, buy them on eBay for a cheaper price, or you can watch it on YouTube and view this just for the heck of it, for heck of a sake. If you're into children's storyteller stories, and if you're into children's stories or fairy tales, if you do come to the right place to find this is a nice looking unit from the mid 70s. It's made by the company Superscope. You see, I can focus a little bit here. Here it is. This is Superscope. Yep. Same company that I also bought by Marantz. It's part of Marantz. If you know, it's back in the 70s. The same company that made the C101A, which I did a video of that probably about 2 years ago when I did a video about this Superscope C101A. This is a version, I think, it's very slim. This is a very bulky unit for a little cute looking shoebox cassette player, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't record or anything. So hope you enjoyed this demonstration of the Superscope Storyteller model TP100, probably model TP100 to be exact. I'm sorry. And there you go. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'm still on vacation right now, but next time I'm going to do another video on my review of the Peacock streaming service. You know, it's been launched a few weeks ago, so I'm going to do a review of the Peacock streaming app, and this will be coming up in another video. So hope you will all enjoy this demonstration and look at the Superscope Storyteller from 1975. It's a good addition to my cassette player collection. I have about 3 or 4 cassette recorders. I always want to collect them, including this. So this is definitely, I highly recommend this as well. So check it out. So until the next video, this is Chris, and I will catch you later. Thanks for watching.